Hey meal preppers, welcome back to Sweet Peas and Saffron. I'm Denise and I'm sharing easy meal prep recipes to give you your time back during the week. Today is a really exciting day because it's the first day of our Stock Up the Freezer challenge. So if you are new around here, I run 3 to 4 free meal prep challenges per year. I send out recipes, shopping lists, and then I do like a little video demo here to show you how to prep efficiently on Meal Prep Sunday. So for the fall challenge, we are stocking up the freezer with healthy dinners and lunches. I'm going to drop the link to sign up below. So if you are watching at a later date, the live challenge may have finished, but I will leave the recipes and shopping lists on the blog for you so that you can run this on your own. But running a live challenge is super fun because we have a Facebook group, we have prizes, and there are thousands of people in the group that are cheering you on so that you actually get your meal prep done on Sunday, because I know sometimes it's hard to actually get it done. So if you would like all of your recipes and shopping lists in one place, you can purchase a recipe card kit. So I have my card kit here, I have my shopping list printed out, I have gathered all of my ingredients, and today we are going to focus on dinners. So we're going to prep 4 different meals today, and they are all freezer friendly. So I have done my best to make these recipes work for a variety of diets. They are low carb friendly, vegetarian friendly, and gluten free friendly. Actually, they might already be gluten free as written. The other thing is that you can cook these recipes in a variety of different ways. So they've been tested in the slow cooker and either on the stovetop or in the oven. And in some cases, you can also cook them in the Instant Pot. So since this is a bulk prep day, we are going to get as organized as possible. So print out your recipes, grab your shopping list, gather your ingredients, and then we're going to work through one by one. So the first thing you need to do is get a pot of rice cooking because we are going to need the cooked and cooled rice for our stuffed peppers. So I already have my rice cooking back there. I'm not going to show you guys how to cook rice because I'm pretty sure you know how to do that part. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to chop up all of our vegetables and then group them by recipe. Then we're going to open all of our cans and gather our spices and just work through each recipe one by one, portioning them out. Let's talk equipment. So for 3 of these recipes, you're going to need a very large volume container. And so the easiest way to do this is with a freezer bag. So look for the gallon sized and make sure that you have like a good quality because you don't want anything leaking in your freezer. Okay, now I personally am really trying hard to reduce my plastic waste. So some reusable alternatives, we have this gallon-sized reusable silicone bag. I can link you to these below. For the Salsa Chicken, you can get away with a smaller volume, and so you can use a smaller volume reusable silicone bag. And another great option is Stasher, but they don't come any larger than, I believe, a half gallon, so they might not work for the larger ones. Now, another option I've been really loving are these, I think these are 3-quart containers. They're from IKEA. I think this was like $6. It was super affordable and it works great, but the only problem is it does get pretty heavy and it takes up more space in your freezer. So something to consider. All right, so that's pretty much it. So why don't we get meal prepping? All right, so the first thing to do for this freezer stock up is to get your rice cooking. We wanna do that right away. In fact, if you could even do it earlier in the day or the day before, that's even more helpful because you want your rice to be cooked and cooled before we start assembling the bell peppers. So I've got my rice cooking and I'm going to move on to the next step, which is to label my containers. Now, if you are using freezer bags, you can write right on the bags, but I'm going to use these reusable containers from IKEA. And so I'm just gonna write on some painter's tape. And I like to also include the thawing and cooking instructions if there's space. Okay, the next step is to chop up all the vegetables. I like to chop up all the vegetables for all the recipes at the same time, and then just kind of divide them onto different plates depending on what recipe they go in. You could also just put them right in the bag right away. We're also going to shred our cheese. We're going to get out all of the spices that we need, and we're going to open up all the cans that we need. Okay, so we're going to start on our stuffed bell peppers first. So the first thing we're going to do is wash our bell peppers. You're going to need about 6 bell peppers and cut the tops off, remove the seeds from the inside. And take a toothpick and poke a few holes in the bottom of the peppers. This just helps any liquid drain out from the peppers so that they don't end up like too liquidy. In a large bowl, we're going to stir together 1 pound of ground turkey. I'm actually using ground beef, and you can use pretty well any ground meat that you would like. 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning, 1 1/4 cups of mozzarella cheese, and our cooked and cooled rice. Just stir it all together until it's completely mixed up. And we're going to spoon it into our bell pepper. So just smush it in there as good as you can, and hopefully you have enough for 6 peppers. It will really depend on the size of your peppers. I like to keep my peppers in a rimmed baking dish just to help keep them upright. And we are going to pop those into the freezer to solidify and then transfer them to a freezer bag or one of these reusable containers later. My peppers are a little too tall for my IKEA container, so I think I'm going to transfer them to one of my larger silicone bags. All right, so these stuffed bell peppers have a vegetarian option and a low carb option, so check out the recipe for those instructions. And you can cook them in the oven, in the slow cooker, or in the Instant Pot. So these are super versatile and pretty easy to prep as well. When it comes to serving them, top them with your favorite toppings. We love adding guacamole, fresh tomatoes, and Greek yogurt. Okay, let's move on to our second recipe, the Asian peanut chicken. So this is kind of like a stew meets a stir fry. It sounds kind of weird, but it's really tasty. So to our reusable container or freezer bag, we are going to add reduced sodium soy sauce, all natural peanut butter, minced garlic, minced ginger, maple syrup or honey, sesame oil, red pepper flakes. Now, the red pepper flakes do add a little bit of spice to this, so if you are serving this to kids or you don't like spicy food, then I recommend leaving this out. And a 1/4 cup of water. Now, if you are cooking this on the stovetop, you're going to need to add a little bit of extra water, so start with a 1/4 cup, and you're gonna need to stir it frequently, so just keep an eye on it, and if it starts to look really dry, then you can add another 1/4 cup or more as needed. But for the slow cooker, a 1/4 cup is perfectly fine. We're going to add sweet potato cubes, sliced carrots, sliced red onion, and boneless, skinless chicken breast. You can also use boneless, skinless chicken thighs for this recipe. Now, the only thing to know about the chicken is that depending on how you plan to cook this, you will need to prep the chicken differently. So if you're planning to cook this on the stovetop, cut your chicken into 1-inch cubes. And if you're going to cook this in the slow cooker, leave your chicken breasts or your chicken thighs whole and then shred them up at the end of the cook time. We're going to put it in the freezer, and this is good in the freezer for up to 3 months. When it comes time to cook, thaw completely and cook as directed. When we go to serve this, we like to serve it over rice, and we add a few extra peanuts and some green onions, and you can also stir in some spinach just before serving. Actually, you can get really creative and add in a lot of different vegetables. Like if you had frozen green beans, I bet they would be great in here. I would add them towards the end of the cook time. Don't be afraid to get creative with this recipe, and if you have any questions, leave me a comment below and I am happy to answer. Okay, moving on to our third recipe, the salsa chicken, and this is like barely a recipe, you guys. This one is super easy. To our reusable freezer bag or plastic freezer bag, we're going to add our chicken, salsa, ground cumin, and chili powder. I know, it's so simple, it's so easy. To cook this recipe, you will thaw completely, and you can either bake it up in the oven or you can cook it in the slow cooker. So this salsa chicken works great on tacos, on a salad. You could use it in like a wrap or on a pizza, or I mean, there's like 1,000 ways you could use this up. Now, this is a low carb option for our challenge. It's obviously not going to probably work for vegan unless you guys have some creative way to make this vegetarian or vegan. I would love to hear about it. And that's it for our salsa chicken. Okay, and we're gonna move on to our fourth and final recipe. This is the black bean quinoa sweet potato stew. This is such a great recipe, especially for fall. It's vegan, gluten-free, and super filling. So to our storage container or freezer bag, we are going to add sweet potatoes cut into 1-inch cubes, 1 can of corn drained, 1 can of black beans drained and rinsed, 1 can of diced tomatoes, include the juices, 1 red onion that is diced, salt, cumin, and chili powder. And that's it. We're going to squish the bag all up. Now, when you go to cook this, you are going to add the quinoa and the stock. I just don't recommend adding that when you're going to freeze it. So this recipe can be cooked in either a slow cooker or an Instant Pot, and I haven't tested it on the stovetop, but I guarantee you can just simmer it on the stovetop, although I'm not 100% sure on the cook time. This is another recipe where you can get totally creative with the toppings, so you can serve it with tortillas, tortilla chips, green onions, salsa, sour cream, or coconut yogurt if you're keeping it vegan, cheese or vegan cheese if you're keeping it vegan. Really, you can just get creative. So that's it for our black bean quinoa sweet potato stew. So that's it for our week 1 Stock Up the Freezer Challenge meal prep demo. I hope you guys are motivated and excited to stock up your freezer. If you have any questions about the recipes, ask in our Facebook group. I will link you to it below. Even if you don't join the challenge, it's a great place to come and hang out. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I know you're going to enjoy our week 2 recipes, so keep an eye out for them. And good luck on week 1. I hope you guys have a great meal prep Sunday.